It was the summer of 2002. America had been through a difficult year. The country was still trying to find its footing, and the news seemed to bring another reason to worry almost every day. Then, in a farm field in western Pennsylvania, 9 ordinary men disappeared underground. And for the next 72 hours, America watched. How many things have to go wrong before you finally admit something can't be done? 1, 5, 10? On July 24th, 2002, 9 coal miners in Somerset County, Pennsylvania, were about to find out. And so were hundreds of people they had never met. At about 9 o'clock that night, a mining crew working 240 feet underground broke through a wall. On the other side was water, millions of gallons of it. The miners had accidentally cut into an abandoned mine. According to the maps they were using, those old workings shouldn't have been there. The maps were wrong. Water exploded into the Quecreek mine. 18 men were underground. Foreman Randy Fogel and miner Dennis Hall immediately warned another crew working nearby. The warning worked. 9 miners escaped. Fogel and his 8 crewmates did not. The trapped men tried to save themselves. Twice they traveled through miles of low, dark mine tunnels looking for a way out. Twice, floodwaters stopped them. So they did the only thing left. They went uphill. The 9 men moved to the highest ground they could find. Then, they waited. Above ground, a rescue operation was beginning. But there was an immediate problem. No one knew exactly where the miners were. Engineers, surveyors, and mine personnel studied the available information and used surface measurements to identify where they believed the men had taken refuge. A small borehole was started. The drill had to travel roughly 240 feet through solid rock. Just after 5 o'clock the next morning, it broke into the mine. Rescuers tapped on the pipe, then listened. 3 loud bangs came back. All 9 men were alive. Now they had to keep them that way. The water was still rising. The miners retreated further uphill. Cold and exhausted, they watched the water continue to move toward them. Randy Fogel, the foreman, believed they might have an hour left. The men wrote notes to their families. They prayed. Most of them tied themselves together with rope. If the water took them, they would stay together. In an effort to keep the men safe, compressed air was forced through the small borehole and into the mine. The idea was to help maintain pressure in the area where the miners were, while enormous pumps attacked the water from above. It was not a simple solution. The pressure had to be watched carefully. Too little might accomplish nothing. Too much could create another danger. But there wasn't time to wait for a perfect answer. Underground, the miners watched the water, and eventually it stopped rising. They were still trapped, but they were alive. With survey work complete and the drill site confirmed, crews began drilling what everyone hoped would become the miners' path back to the surface. A massive rotary rig slowly cut through layers of rock and soil as engineers carefully monitored every foot of progress. For the first time since the rescue began, there was reason for cautious optimism. Every foot mattered. Operators watched drilling pressure, torque, penetration rate, and alignment around the clock. The shaft had to stay precisely on target. A mistake of only a few inches could miss the trapped miners entirely. Then, without warning, everything stopped. Just over 100 feet into the rescue shaft, the enormous drill bit shattered. Part of the nearly 1,500-pound assembly remained wedged deep inside the hole, blocking the only rescue shaft under construction. The operation had reached a standstill. Removing a broken drill from hundreds of feet below the surface is known in the drilling industry as fishing. Normally, it can take days. The trapped miners did not have days. A specialized recovery tool called an overshot would have to be built specifically for this broken drill. A machine shop in Big Run, Pennsylvania immediately stopped its regular work. Working from the damaged drill's exact dimensions, machinists designed and fabricated a custom fishing tool in just a few hours. As soon as it was completed, a Pennsylvania National Guard helicopter lifted off with a new tool, which was still warm from the shop. The rescue depended on it. Against the odds, the recovery worked. The broken drill assembly was successfully pulled from the shaft. But another decision now confronted engineering teams. Wait for another 30-inch drill bit or change plans. A replacement 30-inch bit would require precious time to arrive. A 26-inch bit, however, was available only a few miles away. Engineers quickly calculated clearances, confirmed the smaller shaft could safely accommodate the rescue capsule that was being built, and made the decision to continue. Hours had been saved. It wasn't the original plan. At the same time, another rescue hole was begun. If one plan failed, there would always be another. As darkness settled over Quecreek, the rescue entered another long night. Above ground, there was little left for families to do but wait. Across Somerset County, churches filled with neighbors praying for 9 men they had never met. Hope traveled back to the rescue site where wives, children, parents, and friends kept their own quiet vigil. While candles flickered in the darkness, the drilling never stopped. The rescuers were beginning to worry about something else. What if reaching the miners killed them? The mine air had been pressurized to hold back the water. Breaking through into the air pocket could change the pressure and move water underground. There was also concern about decompression sickness. So an airlock was built over the rescue shaft. 10 portable hyperbaric chambers were brought to the site. No one knew if they would be needed. That wasn't the point. Late Saturday night, the drill finally broke through. The miners could be reached, but the mine was completely dark. A small, pen-shaped two-way radio was lowered through the narrow pipe. Attached to it was a child's glow stick. The miners saw the light for the first time in nearly 3 days. The men underground and the people trying to save them could speak to each other. The rescue was ready. At 12:30 Sunday morning, a steel mesh capsule began its descent. It was barely large enough for one man. Randy Fogel was suffering from chest pains. He came up first. Then the capsule went back down and came back up. One miner, then another, then another. For 77 hours, 9 men had been trapped beneath a Pennsylvania farm. At approximately 2:45 Sunday morning, the 9th miner reached the surface. All 9 had been saved. The question can be asked, who saved the Quecreek 9? There isn't one answer. A miner knew how to warn another crew. 9 men knew they had to stay together and move uphill. Engineers and surveyors helped determine where to drill. A ventilation expert understood air pressure. Pump crews fought millions of gallons of water. Machinists built a tool that didn't exist. The National Guard flew it in. Drillers changed the plan when the original plan stopped working. Medical teams prepared for problems that hadn't happened yet. And somewhere along the line, someone realized that a child's glow stick could help 9 men find a radio in the dark. No single great idea saved the Quecreek 9. For 77 hours, every time another problem appeared, someone found another answer. Sometimes doing the impossible doesn't require one extraordinary person. Sometimes it requires ordinary people who simply refuse to run out of ideas. And in that process, the Quecreek rescuers reminded us what it means to be a great American.